Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Another week of Outside the Cinema with your hosts, Bill and Chris. Hope you like it.
Yeah, we'll see.
And if you don't, that's fine, too.
That's
fine,
true.
too. I get it. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Anyway, welcome back to the show, your source for cult movie discussions. This week we're reviewing Blue Thunder from 1983, starring Roy Schneider. And we are also doing one of the few Mario Bava flicks that I think we haven't covered, Lisa and the Devil, starring Telly Savalas. Bava, as we know, is a master, but that doesn't mean it's all good.
That's true.
Doesn't mean it's all good. I'm just going to fade that out right now so I don't have to worry about it later. Anyway, so not really a whole heck of a lot going on this week. No, I'm feeling like weather's finally turning. Actually, I had a baseball practice outside yesterday, which was delightful.
Nice.
Yeah, it really was. It was on the football field, but it doesn't.
Hey, you practice where you can.
Take what you can, especially this time of year, because most of the fields aren't open yet.
Yeah.
Or if you go on them, they're so beat up because they haven't been opened yet, they're not usable.
Right.
But yeah, hopefully we've turned the corner and we've got nice spring weather. Not that we get a whole lot of good spring weather, but
no, we get like 10 good days and then rain, and then it's 85 for 6 days in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it drops to like 30 for a week.
Yeah, just to fuck with you right in the middle of May, right?
Just enough to get your allergies out of control, and then you know what? You're going to get a cold on top of it.
Yeah.
So
Let's see, what is it? What is the low going to be this week?
I think it's like 40s or like high.
43. That's 43 isn't bad.
No, 43 is not bad.
No. All right.
And this time of year where the sun's out, the sun's warm enough too that like even if it's only in the 40s, it doesn't feel. I mean, the 40s doesn't feel cold to me in general.
Right.
But you know that feeling in the air though, like it rained. It rained all day Saturday?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
But like if you went outside, it didn't have that bite in the air that you get when you have a rain in like December or January. Yep. There's the air, like it could be the same temperature. It could be the same 36 degrees.
Yeah.
But there's 36 degrees in January and there's 36 degrees in March. And they are two very different things.
Definitely.
So now that you've had weather talk with Bill and Chris, let's move on to movies.
Oh, it's 9:39. Traffic on the nines.
Traffic on the nines are Candy Clark and the Blue Thunder Chopper. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny because these films this week, Blue Thunder is one that I remember very fondly from my childhood. Mm-hmm. And we had never covered it for whatever reason. You said the same thing that I always said, which was what?
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh, fucking dude. The copter's really cool.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know what because when you sent me the message, you're like, did we ever cover Blue Thunder? And it was basically said, no, but fucking hell. We better. But yeah, it's the helicopter is the most memorable thing. Like, can you tell me, besides the helicopter, who was in the TV series?
Oh, no.
Dana Carvey.
I don't think I even watched the TV series.
Dana Carvey was in it.
Was he really?
That's what I remember looking up. Let me make sure.
Was he the Roy Schneider character?
Well, see, here's the thing I don't understand. And I can't even talk about that without ruining the entire movie.
All right, well, let's get right into the Blue Thunder review then. Let's play the trailer.
What brings you to air support?
Kind of like the idea of it. No guns, no kicking indoors. Just quiet.
Oh yeah.
For Frank Murphy, policing the air has its ups.
Welcome to air support.
Got a runaway.
And downs.
Well, I just wanted to say, sir, that was my fault. I talked Murphy into taking us there.
You're supposed to be stupid, son. Don't abuse the privilege.
Columbia Pictures presents Roy Scheider, Blue Thunder.
I thought it was illegal to arm police helicopters.
A flying arsenal that hears through walls, sees in the dark, and thinks your thoughts.
Wherever you look, the guns follow.
They told Murphy to test it.
Dozen of these copters and you can run the whole damn country.
They didn't tell him what it was for.
He's totally unsuitable for our purpose.
But when Murphy went looking for answers...
You got all this on tape?
I got every word of it.
The answer came looking for him. the ultimate weapon and the perfect plan. But Murphy stole their thunder.
All right.
Yeah, that's
Blue Thunder, 1983.
that's when they
Roy Schneider.
really upped the ante on trailers back then.
Yeah, Warren Oates, Candy Clark, and a young Daniel Stern, and of course Malcolm McDowell as
So
Cochran.
to answer your question, James Farentino in the TV series played Frank Chaney. Dana Carvey was Clinton Jaffa Wonderlove. And it also starred Dick Buckiss and Bubba Smith.
Interesting.
And Richard Lynch was in one episode. So, yeah.
Didn't it only last like 1 or 2
it
seasons?
was 11 episodes, it says here. Yeah.
That's even less than I thought it was.
Me too. But I mean, how many people want to watch a TV show about a spy plane, helicopter thing? I don't know why it got canceled, but
I know. I mean,
I don't have any.
it was this and Airwolf.
Yeah. Yeah. Frank and I have this long ongoing, I don't really give a shit about it argument about which is better, Blue Thunder or Airwolf. And I just like Blue Thunder better. If Airwolf could be a fucking traffic helicopter for all I care. and the helicopter they're flying in the very beginning of this movie, the traffic copter, has the exact same registration that Airwolf had, because that was the fucking helicopter they used for Airwolf.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there would be...
They just painted it different.
Yeah, and then it was used in like 2 other movies, but the registration number, obviously, since it's a real thing, has to stay the same.
Interesting thing here. The director, John Badham. Are you ready to hear some of the stuff that he's directed?
Sure.
Saturday Night Fever.
Okay.
The 1979 version of Dracula.
The
War
Frank
Games.
Langella one?
Yeah.
Huh.
War Games.
Okay.
American Flyers.
Never saw it, but I know it.
Short Circuit.
Wow. Okay, I don't know anything about this guy because this is all surprising.
Stakeout.
Emilio Estevez or...
Emilio.
Yeah, okay.
Bird on a Wire.
Oh, I saw that in the theater, and it wasn't my kind of movie.
The Hard Way.
Okay.
With James Woods and Michael J. Fox.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Point of No Return with Bridget Fonda.
Yeah, the remake of what was that called? La Femme Nikita.
La Femme
That's
Nikita.
the movie that introduced me to. Fuck, I forgot her name because I just woke up. The singer, Nina Simone.
Yes. He did the sequel to the Stakeout, Another Stakeout.
That's a good title.
Drop Zone.
That sounds familiar too.
Wesley Snipes. When they tried to make him like his own standalone action star.
It worked for a little bit.
Yep. Nick of Time with Johnny Depp.
Was that? Yeah. Okay.
Incognito.
That one I don't know.
Incognito had who was it? Jason Patrick and somebody else. That's where his career started to fall off.
Oh, okay.
In 1998.
Yeah. All right.
And past then, he's done a lot of TV work, stuff like Crossing Jordan, a couple episodes of Heroes.
Okay. He's done a lot of stuff
But,
I enjoyed when I was little.
Hell of a fucking run there through the 80s.
Yeah. Huh. Bless you.
I mean, those are monster pictures.
Yeah. And you know,
And Saturday Night Fever.
that's a great start. It's not my kind of movie, but it's a great.
Well, that
start.
wasn't even his start, man. He'd worked a bunch before that. That was the first like notable thing.
Okay.
Bunch of TV work.
Huh.
So Blue Thunder is a pretty simple story. We got Roy Schneider. He plays Officer Murphy. His partner is Daniel Stern. He plays Officer Lyman Good.
Yep.
They are 2 police helicopter cops.
Yeah.
They basically patrol the city of LA from the air, try to pick out different crimes that are being committed.
Basically, they're flying fascists.
They come. Yes. I don't know. So they open this movie with a thing about the technology used in this film is currently at use in the United States. Do we know, did the LAPD actually have helicopters or choppers?
Well, I know they had spotters. I remember you can watch like chase footage, and you get the the car speeding down the highway with the spotlight.
Right,
on
but
it.
were those choppers deployed in response, or did they actually have a fleet of officers manning choppers around the city trying to identify crime? Because as we see in this, they immediately abuse it. So,
of course, I don't know. I'll see what I can find.
And Schneider's Murphy and Lyman Good are supposed to be the good guys, and the first thing they do on their first night of patrol is they fly over an actress's house and spy on her from outside as she is naked doing yoga in her living room.
Yeah, and she really went for it. I got to give this movie credit for going like, we're gonna have nudity, so here you go.
And the thing that's I think most interesting about it is they play on the fact that like they're not. I mean, they're spying on her, but like they make it seem like she knows that they're there.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
Schneider's like, all she has to do is look out the window
or listen. I mean, it's a fucking helicopter. They are as loud as hell. Yeah.
Even when the Blue Thunder goes into stealth mode, it's still very loud.
I love that. It's such a stupid idea. It's such a sci-fi idea that they can flip a switch and all of a sudden it goes from to like fucking use that all the time.
What would the switch do?
Yeah.
What would the switch do?
I don't know. Turn off the rotors.
We're very silent as we fall to our death.
Yeah. It's a great idea and it's just impossible. But Dan O'Bannon wrote this.
I was going to bring that up.
I had to.
Oh, that's fine.
I mean, just, Alien, Return of the Living Dead.
I was gonna do the. We would be remiss if we didn't mention the fact that Dan O'Bannon wrote this.
And Dan O'Bannon he has a weird sense of things. Definitely, he had his own ideas about the police and guns and all kinds of stuff like that. And he kind of puts some of that on the screen here, and it's weird. But yeah, the LAPD has helicopters and there's air support, and they will fly around. And probably in the 80s, they would just have spotters like this because Daniel Stern is an observer, and he has 2 sets of binoculars. I'm guessing different focal lengths, if that's what you call it on binoculars. And his job is to like see shit, and then they report it and throw a spotlight on them till the ground cops can show up.
Right. So that's what they're
really
doing.
80s right there, because
it's Well, I think we have to say right up front, this movie is like such a prototypical 80s action movie.
Yeah.
Like, I watch this now and I'm like, I loved this movie when I was a kid, and I'm like, this is a very adult film.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And I don't understand what I mean, it was the helicopter. It was the chopper.
Yep.
The chopper was cool, and so I was like, oh yeah, I guess this lady's naked or whatever.
It had a bunch of gadgets, and the cannon on the front would follow your head when you turn. It was all neat stuff that we didn't know about, or see presented as a real thing in what was this, 80 what year?
83.
Yeah.
83.
So yeah, that was interesting. That's what I liked. All the tech and
so,
movies were fine.
Yeah,
too.
so Murphy and Lyman Good observe a car that they think has been left unattended, and they accidentally stumble themselves upon the murder and attack of a city councilwoman that is basically she's the African American that's fighting for the lower income communities and stuff.
Yeah, good guy in this movie.
Good guy, yeah, she's the good guy. And she's attacked and ends up getting killed in the crossfire at her home. The police are telling everyone it was an attempted rape and murder, which it wasn't. They were trying to steal important documents from her.
There's a lot of papers flying around in this movie.
Yeah. So Schneider thinks he's like, listen, we were there, man. We saw what was going on. This was not an attempted rape. These guys were there for a reason. And he gives really good reasons. He's like, do you know of rapists that act in pairs that work in that neighborhood? Like in that, he's like, that doesn't make any sense.
Right. Because, and he yells at him that, it doesn't matter what the pattern is because he wants him to shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And there's a lot of low key racism in this too, where he's like, well, yeah, there were 2. Yeah. They're probably illegals also.
Yeah.
So you got classic higher level cops that don't want to listen to reason. and two good cops that are like, there's more to this that's going on. So they get suspended or grounded for a certain amount of time, but they know that Murphy's like their best pilot. So they talk to him about bringing him into this new program because the Olympics are coming to LA the next year, the 1984 Olympics. Yeah. And this new program features this state-of-the-art helicopter, Chopper. Chopper's yours, Peralta. That they have tagged Blue Thunder.
Yeah.
And so we're introduced to it with Malcolm McDowell. So immediately, you know, it's 1980s. Malcolm McDowell's a bad guy. You know, this guy's up to no good.
100%. Leather jacket, smarmy attitude. Like he you knew like 2 years before this movie came out that he was going to be a bad guy in this. And you didn't even hear about the movie.
Right. You're like, I got this feeling, man. Got this feeling. Yep. So McDowell's the operator of the Blue Thunder. We find that Murphy was in Vietnam with him, and Murphy's definitely dealing with some PTSD from Vietnam, and just like has a hard time holding it together. You know, we meet his girlfriend and his girlfriend's kid, and he loves his girlfriend, but he's kind of like a hard ass. And
well, yeah, I mean,
that kind of whole thing.
We're introduced to the girlfriend and the kid with him pulling a gun on her.
Yeah,
because he's having an episode, and he's paranoid, and it's movie PTSD, so it's obviously exaggerated, but kind of better than I've seen in other places, except like Jacob's Ladder. Yeah, that one pretty much nailed it
for sure. So either way, they invite him to see this demonstration of the Blue Thunder because they think they want him to fly it over the city during the Olympics to help. And so he's like, you heard in the trailer where he's like, I thought it was illegal to have weapons on police things. They're like, oh, but this is different. This is like, it can like snipe out a guy like from hundreds of feet away and not hurt anyone else. And then they proceed to show this thing just blow up everything.
Like, malfunction so fucking bad.
Like, we see we're moving the bus now, and they have these things where they have these wood standouts set up, and the red ones are the bad guys, and the white ones are the good guys. Yeah. And Malcolm McDowell just blows up the whole fucking bus full of the white cutouts.
Yep. People are kind of sniggering at the whole thing, and
yeah. So the low key racism and sexism in this are like, I say low key, they're really not. They might as well have just made the cutouts that were the bad guys black. Or that's like, is there a way to make a cardboard cutout look Hispanic? Because that's exactly what they're going for.
They didn't want to put the money into tying turbans onto all of them. So
it's the 80s, so actually,
we had Afghanistan.
Yeah.
There was one thing.
Unless you're Rambo 3.
Afghanistan was the good guys. So there was problems in the Middle East since the beginning. Anyway, there was one thing that was said in this that I need to mention because it was one of those oh shit kind of things. You know how sometimes movies can inadvertently predict events. This guy says about the LA Olympics, you know, all it takes is one guy with a pipe bomb or something like that. And I'm like, oh shit, that was Atlanta years later. Huh. And they didn't have a Blue Thunder. So that happened. I don't know, but it was like, of all the things you could have picked, it was the one that really happened. That was weird.
Yeah. A little weird for sure. So they're like, all right, well, Murphy, I'm good. You guys want to test this over the city, see how it works out? So they let him test it out.
Yeah. They give him the full tech rundown, which I love.
Yep.
So hilarious.
They don't even use a fraction of the things that they name off in it.
I know, right?
But it's got all these different capabilities. It's obviously got the big gun on the front, but it's also got a thing where it records everything. It's got these 3.5-inch tapes that like hard drives that it records to.
Yeah, no, they're videotapes. Don't give them credit.
He says 3.5-inch. He said that's because Daniel Stern is very much like, hey, look at what I got here.
Yeah, 3.5-inch videotape, awesome.
So they take it out, they do their thing with it, they drive it around, and you know, but then they notice that Malcolm McDowell is speeding out of there, and so they rather than land, they take it out for what they all think is like a joyride or whatever, but they actually go and spy on McDowell. Yeah. And we learn that they've got like this whole other plan
Oh yeah.
of like to use the chopper
Yep.
to basically create racial unrest in the low-income areas and create riots.
Surprise.
Shocking turn of events. Malcolm McDowell's a bad guy.
Yep. I didn't see that coming.
So they're out there and they tape the whole thing as it's got the infrared thing and these very powerful microphones, these directional microphones.
Which are located directly under the rotors.
I know. That was the first thing I said too.
It's a good spot for a visual look because it looks like a cannon, like little laser cannons on top of it. But yeah, they ain't gonna pick up shit on those mics.
Well, if they're they were these long shotgun directional mics. They could be tuned to go past that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like they're very like still.
It just.
I mean, you're reaching.
Knowing nothing.
You're reaching.
Knowing nothing about how those kind of microphones work, I would figure the distance that they are and the noise and wind disturbance in between them and the closed fucking windows, you wouldn't get anything.
Well, I mean, think about like if you watch a football game and they tape a lot of the audio with like those parabolic mics.
Okay.
Like they can face it to the opposite sideline.
Oh, that's
and it
true.
cuts out the crowd noise. It cuts out a lot of the stuff.
Okay. All right. I changed my mind.
I mean, again,
No, that
I
makes
agree with
sense,
you that
'cause-
I think it is pretty far-fetched as a guy that does a decent amount of audio work. But
Yeah, but we've seen a type that does work in a very loud situation. So yeah, no, that's a good example. I'm down with it.
so they see this, they immediately know because they overhear that they're like, well, we have to kill Murphy because he's not going to play ball with us.
Yeah.
So Malcolm McDowell's like, don't worry, I'll take care of him.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, shit, we got to get back. So Stern takes the tapes, the 3.5-inch tapes out.
Yep.
And then basically Stern ends up getting killed because he won't give up the tapes.
Yeah.
In a very violent,
yeah.
like very violent.
Surprisingly, this turns surprisingly adult for a movie about a super helicopter.
Really does. So like when they grab him and they're gonna before they kill him, like in this, even when I was a kid, this fucking like I don't know why they put duct tape over his mouth and then like cut off one of his fingers or whatever it was. And the idea to me always that he was unable to scream because his mouth was taped closed made it so much more frightening to me.
Okay.
And it stuck with me for like years.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like thinking the fact that like you're being put into that pain and you
You
can't
can't let it out.
express it.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Scared the shit out of me.
yelling, scientists have found yelling is specifically swearing does do give you some amount of pain relief.
For sure. So now they're trying to pin the murder of Lyman Good on Murphy, which didn't really make any sense to me as to why they thought like he was behind it, because people saw him get run over and he wasn't run over by Murphy's car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Murphy wasn't there.
Yeah. But people will believe.
He had an alibi, like,
Yeah. But I mean,
but immediately Murphy did it.
yeah. Yeah.
Which then makes even less sense when he like just waltzes in the police precinct when they're looking for him and steals the helicopter. Like,
Yeah.
he makes a phone call first to check his voicemail, and Daniel Stern's character has left him a message telling him where he put the tapes. So he calls the girlfriend and tells the girlfriend that she needs to go pick up the tapes at this this drive-in. But yeah, like Roy Schneider's character, like they're searching for him in relation to this murder, and he somehow just like goes into the police hangar, gets into Blue Thunder, able to just turn it on and fly away with it.
Yeah. Well, it's
Like-
the 80s, so it's fine. But that's
So
the
then
thing.
the rest-
like what the movie shows but doesn't tell you is that, you know, they know he's a helicopter pilot. They're used to seeing him around, or at least people that act like him and look like him, dress like him, that kind of thing. So the message from the bad guys probably doesn't get filtered down to the literal ground crew. You got to remember all of your minions. They all need to know
Right. So he steals the chopper, and he's basically following the girlfriend from the air.
Yes, because
to make sure she gets the tape.
Because the wet bandit hid the tape. I like where he hid it. That was a nice, very nice, nice visual.
And he's also put a call into the local TV station.
Yeah.
That says, "Hey, listen, be ready for I've got something coming to you that you guys need to see."
Yep. And I have this made up story in my head of the newscaster, because he played Casey Wong in the RoboCop movies.
He did, yeah.
And I'm thinking that after the Blue Thunder incident, he was picked up by the 24-hour news network, and then in the Blue Thunder world of police fascists, that RoboCop happened. And he's like, "Oh shit, I got to report on another dude named Murphy that got killed." All right, fine. It just like I heard his voice and I'm like, "Oh, I have never seen that guy in anything else." But he's in a lot of stuff, and he was an actual newscaster. So, like Perd Hapley on Parks and Rec, like that's why he's so believable as a newsreader, because he was one.
Well,
I liked him.
So now the race is on. And this is where the movie's like the best sequence in the movie, because they're doing real stunts over the city of LA with real helicopters.
It's the most insane thing. No exaggeration. This is insane. No one would sign off on this today.
You could never get a permit to do this.
No.
They're literally flying multiple helicopters during the day while the city is open and doing business, and like flying them under bridges while there's cars just going across the bridges.
Yeah. Now I can understand having a Terminator chase scene in the spillways, but they're flying helicopters like dozens of feet off the ground.
Multiple helicopters too.
Yeah.
Like,
because not only do you have the two that are in the movie, you have at least one more that's filming it. At least.
It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah. And that was most of because it's just a standard chase. Like if it was cars, it would just be a normal, boring thing. But the whole time I'm like, holy shit, there's people in this shot. What is happening?
Crazy.
It was
crazy.
Reckless. It looked like it was reckless. It probably wasn't. But again, it was the 80s, so who fucking knows? Oh,
I think they did all of it. I think all of it is real. They did all of it.
Yeah. Because back then you could tell when stuff had a mat around it and it was fake or green screen. Like the only green screen we get is the cockpit shots when they're doing rear projection stuff. But they went all in and built this helicopter and flew that in a city. It was just it's. If that happened today, there would be lawsuits for years, just from trauma. Because you'd see this weird looking, like imagine if an alien helicopter is just flying through your city and you don't know what's going on. And the Olympics are coming because they they were going to be there the next year. Like there's a lot going on.
Right. So the funny thing with the actual Blue Thunder helicopter though is it's not, that helicopter isn't actually like a real helicopter. It's a combination of, I think, of like an Apache Army helicopter and this other one that they kind of built together. And they were like, basically like, if this thing was a real helicopter, it wouldn't even be able to fly because it would weigh too much.
Yeah. The prop gun on the front, I read, weighed so much they had to counterbalance the end of it. And that's why it still flew at that weird tilt.
Yeah. But it's cool. I had the toy when I was a kid. Like,
oh yeah,
it was sick.
I put together at least 3 different model kits of the helicopter. I just was just great. It's great design.
So yeah, things end up, working themselves out as you would expect. So I don't want to necessarily just go through the entire ending here, but I think a good chunk of our listeners have probably seen this before. So, but for those of you who may have not, that may have missed it. The whole ending sequence is great.
Yeah. And I really need to find out. I need to watch the first episode of the TV series because the movie pretty definitively shows you what happens in the end. Yeah. And I don't know how they could make a TV show, but I did like Scheider's, Frank Murphy. I did really like his decision with what he did at the end. Clearly he would go to jail or whatever after that, but but he had a change of heart. He's not a fascist anymore at the end of this.
Right, for sure. Also, one of the other big pluses with this before we grade it is it's got one of the most memorable 80s scores. It's got that theme that's like that thumping synth-based theme that's also got some orchestration to it, which to this day you hear and you're still like, oh yeah, that's a good. I mean, we don't get a lot of that anymore. I feel like there's very few recent movies in the last 10, 15 years that have like a really memorable score to them. I mean, there's some like obviously like the Harry Potter scores and stuff like that, but
Right.
like even Star Wars, like all the Star Wars films are still rehashing the Williams stuff with some added things to it, so they're not like completely new.
Oh, maybe for Star Wars, the newest, most memorable thing. Like if you hear it, you're like, I know what that is. Or you could pick out a part of it. Would be the theme to Mandalorian, because that's so unique sounding.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
But I can't think of too many others. Like
no, that's like handful. It'd be like a handful.
the Avengers theme is one, but not even a Spider-Man one. Like that's my biggest disappointment, is that there's not a really strong Spider-Man theme.
Yeah,
But whatever, it's fine.
yeah. All right, well let's give this the work through.
Mission failure.
Oh, sorry. All right, Chris, do you recommend what is your grade for Blue Thunder?
Yeah, I'm gonna recommend this. It's fun. It's an 80s kind of thing. It's like that's the day that all this happened, and it couldn't happen anytime after that. So you gotta just take it there. As a movie now, it's very racist, very sexist. But the helicopter's awesome, and that's why I kept watching it when I was little. So I'm gonna give it a B-. It was fun. There was some good intrigue going on there. I thought it was a believable enough reason for them to be doing what they were doing, to protect themselves, the bad guys, I mean. And there's not too many plot inconsistencies or anything going on. And just to watch how insane it was to fly helicopters through the city, like it's just watch the end if you want to watch anything.
Yeah.
So there.
I'm gonna recommend it also. This was definitely one that I remembered from my childhood, and rewatching it now, I'm still confused as to why my parents let me watch it, first of all.
Because it was always on.
It was one of those always on. But it totally it's the helicopter. The chopper in it is it's fucking sick.
Yeah.
It's cool. But yeah, it's very simple story. It's so 1980s, like racism, sexism, it's all just kind of boiling right there at the surface. But the chopper is cool, and the stunts, like you said, the stunts in the tail end of it, in the final chase sequence is it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
You'll never see anything like that again.
No,
You'll never see
not
anything like
done
that
real.
again.
No.
So I will give it a you know what? B-. B- works for me too. Yeah, it's not great because it's simple. The story is super, 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 super simple. But it's not about the story. It's about showing off the helicopter. It's got a great score.
Yeah.
So there you have it. That's Blue Thunder. All right. Next we have Mario Bava's Lisa and the Devil. I do have a trailer here, and it has a thing at the top of it that says that. Hang on. What does it say? It says Lisa and the Devil has never had an official theatrical release. Its trailer was never completed. This is the unfinished version presented here.
Weird. Okay.
So let's see.
It's just Lisa and the Devil opening Friday.
It's probably going to be all in Italian too, then I bet.
It's that same music.
Yeah, I can tell this is an unfinished trailer. Because it's one of those Giallo-esque trailers that's going to probably be 3 minutes long and have nothing other than the score blasting.
Yep.
Let's see. Yeah. All right, that's not going to help. None of that's going to help us at all. I don't think I knew that this was never released theatrically. Let me scroll down here to the trivia. Scene where Leandro film was shot without sound and the dialogue was dubbed in after principal photography. Makes sense. Reportedly, like directing the cast on the set, Bava would play music to get the emotions he wanted.
Okay.
Surprisingly, there was no luck in getting a distributor for the film, even after successful screenings at film festivals. Ultimately, in a desperate attempt to get the film into theaters, it was heavily re-edited with newly shot footage involving a priest and a possessed Lisa. It was sold under the new title, The House of Exorcism, which was released in 1975. In an attempt to cash in on the success of The Exorcist, Bava's original film, Lisa and the Devil, also received a very limited theatrical release as well as small appearances on TV. So there you have it. As you know, we've talked about Bava many times in the history of the show. Some certified classics in there: Bay of Blood, Rabid Dogs.
Oh yeah.
What's the one I keep? Black Sunday was the other one.
Okay.
Danger Diabolic, Kill Baby Kill, Lives of the Avengers. Bava is, sorry, not Black Sunday, Black Sabbath. Evil Eye. I mean, Bava's a certified legend for genre filmmaking and especially Italian filmmaking.
Yeah.
With that said, this film stars Telly Savalas as Leandro, Elke Sommer as Elena, and then a bunch of other people.
That's
Again,
yeah.
You know what though? After reading that, seeing the release information, it actually kind of makes sense because this film is a mess.
Okay, good. Because I watched half of it and then started over, and I still don't think I could give you a decent synopsis of this movie.
Well, according to IMDb, the synopsis is: a tourist spends the night in a derelict Spanish villa, seemingly held in the supernatural grip of an eccentric butler who resembles a depiction of the devil she had seen on an old fresco.
Okay. All right, because I would have just gone with Telly Savalas as the devil.
It's very bizarre.
Yeah.
So the film opens with Elke Sommer. She's on vacation with like a tour in somewhere in Spain, and they're brought to see this fresco on a wall. And yes, it's like a depiction of the devil, and the devil looks just like Telly Savalas, mole on the side of the face and all.
A decent rendition of that time period's painting too.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
I was impressed with that.
So Elke Sommer's character, Elena, decides that she's going to leave the group for whatever reason and look around in some stores. She goes into one of the stores, and it's one of those, like, those stores you look at, you're like, how does this place ever sell anything?
Yeah.
So she goes in, and Telly Savalas is there with the store owner, and they're building or working on a mannequin. She immediately sees Telly Savalas and is like, that guy looks just like the fresco of the devil. That's fucking weird. I'm going to get out of here.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, go ahead.
Totally.
Because if it's weird, but then you don't expect to see him again.
Right. She gets lost trying to leave and can't find her way back to the square, and nobody will help her, which is a little odd.
Yeah.
She sees people, she's like, oh, excuse me, and they just walk away. Or like there's like a lady at the window and she's like, could you help me find the square? And she just like shuts the window rather than respond to her. Yeah. And then runs into Telly Savalas carrying the mannequin. And she's like, yeah, I got lost. And he's like, oh, go that way.
Yeah, and it took that long for it to like be a normal conversation.
Yeah.
Because
so he's like, yeah,
you don't speak normally.
Yeah, he's like, you just got to go this way.
Yeah.
And so then she runs into, at the top of the stairs, another gentleman by the name of Carlos. And he thinks she's somebody else. He's like, oh, you're the love of my life. Not Elena. He doesn't call her Elena. Elena's name, but like Carol or whatever. Or no, her name's Lisa. Why do I keep saying?
I don't know.
Wasn't she?
I don't know what's going on.
No, Elena was so she's Lisa, but she looks just like Elena. Or maybe Lisa was the old. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's not very clear. They didn't record any dialogue at the time of the making of the film. I'm going to chalk it up to that.
Hey, I need to point something out. In my research here, I just came across a 1/6 scale filming model of Blue Thunder that was radio controlled.
Jesus.
But you know what? I never noticed anytime I watch. Normally there's a couple of tells here and there about like it's not the right scale. Not in the movie. I'd rather talk about Blue Thunder than this movie.
Well, the quicker we get through this movie, the quicker we can talk
One
about
other thing
else.
real quick about Blue Thunder, and then I'm done. What really fascinated me was that it's numbered 02. Where's the other one?
In the TV series.
Was it?
Probably. I don't know.
I'll find out. But I just had to say that because I was wrong that it was all real helicopters. It was all practical on set stuff, but they were miniatures. So
All right.
anyway,
so Lisa, she's like goes the way that Telly Savalas goes, or runs into this guy Carlo. He mistakes her for someone named Elena, and she's like, "Listen, you're not who. I don't know what you're talking about." And he like advances upon her, and he falls down the stairs.
yeah, she kind of half shoves him.
Yep. He's unconscious, and then she runs away.
Yeah.
Now, again, I haven't been to whatever Spanish city it was supposed to be. It's actually definitely Italy. It's not Spain, but it's supposed to be Spain. And she just somehow ends up like roaming the streets in the middle of nowhere. Now that kind of makes sense as you're watching this movie, and like so much of Mario Bava stuff is this movie just has that like dreamlike feel to it.
Yeah.
Like scenes where there's just kind of like mist in the air for no real reason.
Yeah.
Lighting is very like sparse and like, but the sparse lighting that you have is like very much like well thought out, like to create the mood.
Yeah, it's all to create that subliminal feeling of, is this actually happening to her?
Right.
And
the entire movie
a huge
feels like
theme
that.
in these movies.
Yeah, Bava's stuff in general is very much like that, with the exception of like Rabid Dogs.
Yeah, that was
Because
pretty
that was like
straightforward.
that was a very harsh, violent film.
Yeah.
So Lisa's roaming the streets. She comes across this rich guy and his wife and their chauffeur, and she's like, "Listen, I'm lost. Could you give me a ride?" And they're having problems with the car, and they're like, "Yeah, sure. Let me fix the car." So they fix the car, and they take him, and then the car breaks down again. But this whole time, like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, she was in a tour, so she would have been in a hotel somewhere, I'm assuming nearby.
Somebody should be
or would
looking
know
for
where
her.
the hotel is.
Yeah.
At no point does she say, "I'm trying to get back to the Radisson."
Right.
Or like,
Yeah.
I'm staying at the Marriott downtown. There's no point. Like, she's just like, "Oh, I'm lost." Okay, get in the car.
Yeah. Yeah. People in now, is this considered a giallo, however you say it, or is this just a
No, I mean,
it feels like it at certain times, but
it feels
doesn't
like
have
it. It's
all
got
elements.
the style of the score. There's a murderer that's kind of unseen. So I think if you look it up on Shudder, it's listed under their giallos.
Okay, but it's like you have the list of video nasties, and then you have the extras that they added on. This is kind of like an add-on, isn't it?
I think this is one of those ones where it's got some slight similarities to the genre,
Yeah.
but also like it's an Italian movie, so it kind of gets a lot of Italian stuff gets thrown into that
Right.
genre
Yeah.
that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, I thought it'd be good to clarify what we thought of that.
I mean, I think you could make an argument for it,
Yeah,
but
I mean, if we were set out to watch every giallo they made, we'd hit on this definitely. I would imagine.
yeah, it would probably fall in there.
But later.
Right. So the car breaks down again. It just happens to break down in front of this giant mansion. We are then reintroduced again to Telly Savalas. And the best part of Telly Savalas in this movie is the fact that like he's just doing Telly Savalas. Like,
Yeah, that's the best
he's got the lollipop like Kojak.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just like,
That was
what's
his-
going on, baby?
That was his trademark.
They don't even like I think they just were like, "Oh, we got Telly Savalas." And at 73 he was hot. So like
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, we got Elkie Summer and Telly Savalas. Okay, yeah, you guys do whatever the hell you want."
He had a lollipop in this movie, so you'd know that he sucks.
Anyway, so
As the bad
they're
guy,
invited
that's what
to
I mean,
stay.
not as an actor or anything.
yeah, so we meet the son of we hear the woman in the background being like, "Tell them to leave. We don't want them to stay here."
Yep.
But then the son is like, "No, you need to stay." And he also recognizes Lisa as looking like this Elena character. And they're brought in, and a whole bunch more confusing stuff happens. And then a whole bunch of nothing happens. Like,
For a while.
so we get like these like moments where like pretty much everybody gets murdered. The chauffeur bites it first, and then the husband gets run over a couple times by the car. Then eventually the wife gets it, and then we're down to the son, and then the mother, and they all end up biting it. At the end of the day, it just ends up being Telly Savalas and Lisa. There's some attempted twists that just hit flat because there's not enough information given. Apparently, Carlos is still alive, but Carlos actually was married to the mother, but then cheated on the mother with this woman that looked just like Lisa. And then the son was in love with the other woman, and then Carlos took her away, and then I
stopped giving a shit after a certain point. It was convoluted just to be convoluted.
And that's where this film I think fails most, in that, like, I think it's got a cool look to it. It's got that classic Italian score from that time period. You know, Elke Summer looks incredible. Like, Telly Savalas is chewing up scenery left and right. But the biggest issue is that the screenplay doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think,
and it's not interesting.
It seems like there are certain people out there that think that if they make it difficult to follow, then that's complex storytelling. And there are still, to this day, writers and directors, big name writers and directors that will needlessly complicate plots. And then, like, the people, oh, it's so complicated. Yeah, well, like, if you put a bunch of shit in there that doesn't matter or connect, it's going to be complicated. And that's what this does, I feel. Just throw shit in there just to pad the runtime or give them more dialogue or whatever kind of shit you're talking about, you know?
And I think Bava's most successful movies are ones that I don't think he necessarily wrote the story for. He wrote the screenplay for the majority of his stuff, but like $5 for an August Moon, which is one of the best, I think, early run giallos, is based on a story by Mario. I can't remember his last name.
Mario.
But it's based on a story, and
he's a plumber.
And I think that. Yeah, you know Mario. He wrote the story and adapted the screenplay with Bava, and so I think that his stuff that works best. Bay of Blood is kind of different because Bay of Blood is really the blueprint for the slasher movie.
Yeah.
So like your story there doesn't nearly matter as much, but like if you look at like a lot of his more successful westerns, or even like Planet of the Vampires, like I know Planet of the Vampires is based on another story. The best stuff that he did that needed story was stuff that he adapted from another story or somebody else wrote.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is no denying Mario Bava's eye for shots and the creation of what he made and how it looks and the incredible, like, you know, like dreamlike feel, even like the stuff that's like kind of overlooked, like Hatchet for the Honeymoon and like stuff like that, like always has this incredible like look and feel to it. And this is the same thing. Gorgeous location. The house that they're in is like old giant Gothic mansion that some of it is run down and overgrown and other parts of it are very nice.
Yeah.
Like looks great.
Yeah.
The story here is supposed to carry this movie. So it's like the location and the feel and like all of that is awesome, but it doesn't have the story to carry it because there's not enough other things going on. It's like, well, yeah, you'd be like, yeah, that shot looks great. But what?
Yeah, exactly. I kind of feel that way about Ridley Scott. He's a fantastic director, but seeing some of the ideas he had to add to the script for the very first Alien, he had no fucking idea what was going on with that script. He didn't understand it. And then you go and you watch Prometheus, which I defended for a while, until the next one came out. And he has no clue about the mythology behind the movie he directed, not wrote, but directed. And that's I feel the same way. Like if you write it yourself, you know. But David did not create the fucking xenomorphs. You ruined it. Once that happened, I'm like, I wash my hands of this whole thing. There's only 2 movies and 2 others I'll sort of watch.
That's fair. That's fair, man.
So, I mean,
but
yeah.
It's so I've seen the other cut of this House of Exorcism,
Okay.
And as big of a mess as this is, I think that's worse.
Okay.
That's just like, this at least kind of like allows you to fall in a bit to the dreamlike feel. And it's got this kind of like shock ending where she thinks she's flying home on a plane, but the plane is empty.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of cool.
Kind of. Yeah, I'll give you. Yeah. It was a surprise. I don't know how much sense it makes, but sure.
It doesn't. Well, and that's the thing with this movie is they don't give you an opportunity to really like make any sense of anything, because like the movie's called Lisa and the Devil. Telly Savalas is supposed to be like presented as the devil, but he doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, no,
So
he's
you're just
more
kinda
there
like-
to antagonize her just by existing,
Right. Right.
which is weird.
So, yeah, it's just, it's got the surreal feel that you love, but it's one of those ones that the surreal feel and the mood aren't going to carry it. At least for me. I mean,
Yeah.
so let's,
yeah.
let's grade it. Oops, I forgot to. All right, Chris, do you recommend, and what is your grade for El Diablo se levia los muertos?
Okay, so no, I'm not going to recommend this because, like we just said, it's a mess. It's what's the point? What are you getting at? Not what's the point of the movie, but like what is the point of the story? What are you getting to? And it was just to torment a woman for an hour and a half, I guess, and that's not good enough for me.
Right.
And considering the fact that I watched this movie 1.5 times yesterday, and I could not pick out a scene except for Savalas with the lollipop in the cockpit at the end of the movie. I can't remember any of it past that. It's
There was some cool imagery. There's that cool image where he places Elkie Summer in the bed and next to the skeleton. That was cool.
okay. Yeah. See, but
when
that
they're
just
all
went
lined up
right
at the-
out of my head. Weird.
Because the story didn't, like, they didn't give you the story to latch you in to be like, oh, that's what that scene is. It's like, yes, it looks very cool, but like, and there's that great scene when they're all at the dinner table in the giant room and the mother walks in and they all realize she's blind. But then you realize for most of the movie, like, any normal blind person couldn't be doing what she's doing. Like,
yeah. There's just there's okay. I'll rephrase it to there is not enough memorable stuff to make this a memorable movie for me. So, yeah, this is definitely lesser. It looks nice, but it's definitely it always has that that it feels crowded in some scenes, like because like there's so much stuff on the set. It's Italian movies seem to try to fill the frame with curtains and vases and tables and all kinds of stuff. And this one felt crowded. I don't know if it actually was, but that was just, I'm like, oh, people need to separate a little bit and like not be in that dusty ass room. I've come around on a lot of these style of movies, but this one just it didn't do it for me. So I'm gonna give it a D+. It was fine, but I will not remember that we watched this.
right. So we've talked about before when we review films by these, quote unquote masters of the genre. We talk about it a lot with Fulci. We talk about it with Argento. Bava is very much in that group of people. And it really drives me nuts when people just go nuts over a film just because so-and-so directed it. Now, don't get me wrong. I will watch anything Bava touched and I will take it for what it is. But this is not a good film.
Right.
It looks great. It's got some awesome set pieces. It's got the classic Italian style score that you want.
Oh yeah, you heard it in the trailer for 45 minutes.
Right, right. But it doesn't. There's the writing in it is so. I don't want to say so bad, but just like there's nothing to it, and we're not given information to make us care or to make us question what's happening. It's all just kind of presented. Sure, it looks great, awesome, and dreamlike. So I'm recommending it in the sense of you are an Italian film fan or you're a Mario Bava fan, then you need to watch it. Then because it's, if you're a completist or you enjoy this style of film, it definitely offers something there because it's got the look, it's got the it's got the strong actors.
Yep,
worth it. But know that I personally I don't think it's very good.
Yeah, for an average person flipping through Shudder, I wouldn't recommend it.
Right. You have to be into Italian cinema or be like a podcast host that talks about cult films.
Or maybe you want to start. And
this is not the place to start.
That's not a good place. That's exactly what I was going to say, yeah.
No, if you want to start, and you want to start on Shudder, there's like 10 other giallos on Shudder that are infinitely better.
Yeah.
But this is, it does offer the look and the feel. So I'll give it a C-. And that's C- bordering D+ only because of its look and its feel. Its story is very weak. And that's kind of a bummer because the story in Blue Thunder was actually weak too. Although as much as I enjoyed Blue Thunder much more than this, because it gave you the visuals that were memorable.
Yeah. But at least we knew fascists wanted to take over the police department and create a race riot, which then
they still do
later.
They still do.
Yeah.
There's no doubt there. So
this may be the first time we've been this close disagreeing on something. Because
in a while, I think
we're only off by one. Usually, you really like it, and I don't, or the other way around.
Yeah. Well, I tend to be an apologist for Italian cinema in general a lot of times,
and that's fine. I defend the stuff I like too, so why not?
Yeah, but that goes to show you someone like me who will apologize for the worst of Italian horror will tell you it's really not that great.
Yeah.
So, there you have it. Speaking, Christopher, of not great, what's he at? What's Joe at, 9?
He's a fake Pinhead, isn't he?
All right, well, let's see what he thought of fake Pinhead.
I think.
Bill took me to Tijuana, Mexico.
Yeah.
Hello, Bill. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Hello, OTC Nation. It's your boy Joe here, and remember last week when I said, Bill took me to hell because he made me watch Hellraiser Hellworld.
Surprise.
That was a much more naive and bright-eyed Joe, and
I knew it.
Well, this week Bill really did take me to hell because he made me watch Hellraiser Revelations. Fuck. Well, at least it was free on Tubi.
That's fair.
Is that a small mercy for what will probably be one of the worst films I've seen in a grip? Sure. But after duking $4 and change at a multi-billion-dollar corporation that won't pay taxes on it to watch Hellworld, I'll take that small mercy. That said, if I ever, and this is not a joke, if I ever see Rick Boda, the guy that made Hellraiser's Hellseeker, Deader, and Hellworld, bet that I'm going to attend that con, smoke a whole pack of cigarettes, eat a pastrami sandwich, wash it down with a bottle of warm milk, and then get very, very close to Mr. Boda and talk to him for as long as I possibly can. As con security drags me away, I will yell at him, "That's what you get for making me sit through 270 minutes of some of the worst bullshit I've ever seen, you talentless fucking hack." Will he care? Probably not.
No, you still got
Will
paid.
I feel a small sense of vindication? Probably. Far as I can tell, there are 3 notable things about this movie. 1, it is universally thought of as the worst of the Hellraiser franchise, a franchise known for being more bad than good. 2, it was only made from conception to completion in 3 weeks, just so Dimension could retain the rights to Hellraiser instead of letting it go to someone who, do that silly thing where they might actually do something competently with it. And most importantly, 3, it's the first time Doug Bradley didn't play Pinhead. That job went to Stephen Smith Collins, who had big shoes to fill.
That's a serial killer name
and
I've ever heard.
Tripped over them like he was Chevy Chase in the first season of SNL.
Yeah.
It reminded me of when poor Blaze Bayley took over singing for Iron Maiden when Bruce Dickinson left. Like, that's a no-win situation, but you'd be an idiot not to put yourself in it. Iron Maiden asks you to be their singer, you fucking say yes, knowing that their legion of fans, myself included, are going to shit on it no matter how good you are. In Mr. Collins' case, you, sir, are no Blaze Bayley.
Not even Tim Ripper
In the first
Owens.
10 minutes, they have fumbled the initiative badly. There's two nihilistic SoCal rich boys who are running away to Mexico to drink and fuck for the rest of their lives. Great. That's fine. Except when they try to make you feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
Call me a class warrior if you want, but my sympathy is thin for Braden and Brantley. It's not the characters' names, but you get
Might as
you
well
get
be.
the
Might as
kind of
well
guy
be,
that
yeah.
I'm talking about. As they quickly get a chain train run on them by Pinhead and his homies. These two were born on third base fucking around, but got tagged out at home plate and found out. Boo fuckity who. It gets worse when we have to watch their families all meet up for dinner at a big old fuck-off multi-million-dollar home in the hills and mourn the loss of two boys who use the word dude more in the first 5 minutes of this film, more than was said in the first 30 minutes of Dude, Where's My Car?
That's more than me, too.
About that. I'll let this go on a bit before chiming in again, but I have to point out that the acting in this movie makes a mediocre amateur community theater production seem like the goddamn Stratford Festival. If any of these fucks got their SAG card from this cinematic gallstone experience, Fran Drescher needs to show up at their place and do that hideous laugh while lighting that card on fire in front of them. I Googled for that joke. Did you know that Fran Drescher is the current SAG president?
I did.
Yes,
I
because of the strike, I know.
The more you know. Summing up most of this, one of the douchebag kids is a bully and the other one is a wiener. So that's what we will call them from here on out.
Fair enough.
As is my want. Bully kills a girl having sex with her in a bathroom that looks maybe as clean as the Detroit River.
Sounds like he's bad at sex.
But it's a bit of a buzzkill for the wiener. The bully gets the box, experiences Dollar General Pinhead, and like the first movie, he like gets back somehow, and he needs Wiener to kill people to reinvigorate his physical form. It's done part found footage, and part the Wiener kid shows up at the house where all the family members are and just telling the victims. I mean family members. The only takeaway from any of this is that whoever made this movie was very, very generous with how hot back alley Tijuana hookers probably are. The Wiener isn't calling madams here. He's not calling like the place that El Chapo would go to. He's literally prowling like garbage-strewn alleys. And these girls are not bad looking. The big reveal is that the Wiener kid who came back is actually the bully wearing his skin.
Ooh.
How original. My issue here is that the Wiener kid is like 2 or 3 inches taller than the bully kid. So while they're about the same build, unless he's got like a chip clip holding back some of the excess skin somewhere, like this would be like me, a man who wears 34, 32 jeans, wearing 34, 36 jeans. Like it's only going to mostly fit right. It's just not going to look quite right.
Okay.
Like just compared wearing jeans to wearing your homie's dermis as a skin suit. This is a weird day for me. Now, sorry.
It's all right.
I got
That was a
myself
good one.
with that one. Now, normally watching a Hellraiser movie, you know when you get to the last 15 to 20 minutes that, oh boy, Pinhead is here and he's going to drop some dope verbiage and whip some chains around with the hooks and it's all going to make this worth it for the payoff.
Yep.
Here, when Pinhead showed up, I just thought, thank fuck, this is finally almost over. Can we please dispatch these actors who will probably only ever do a few episodes of TV before moving back to Wisconsin so I can get on with my day? Please and thank you. Pinhead shows up and listen, fuck. When the Star Wars kid pretended to have his double-sided lightsaber, and he was like, I don't know, in like the storage room of his high school's theater or something, and he twirled around like a ninny. He didn't know that the world would end up seeing that. But they did this on purpose. It was like one of those parody films that was making fun of Hellraiser, but they just forgot to put gags in there. I can't. Here's the thing. The good. We found out that the barrel does indeed have a bottom. Yeah. Also, even after doing some really, really bad Hellraiser movies, Doug Bradley finally pieced out with what little self-respect he had left when they told him that they were not going to do a second draft of the script and that his salary would be just a hair over 5 figures. Smart man. Mm-hmm. The bad. While I understand, needing to make a movie or feeling like you need to make a movie to hold on to the rights, maybe you didn't deserve those rights in the first place.
Also, why did you wait so long
Maybe
then?
the one fucking thing you could have done is find an actual actor to play the part of Pinhead. Stephen Smith Collins is on a short list of people that, as the kids say, for me, is on site. If I ever meet him, I'm going to treat him like Jim Cornette did Santino Marella for breaking kayfabe. Fun side note, 10 years later when they were at the same convention in Detroit and the video went viral of Cornette just absolutely raw dog, just lacing into Santino Marella that went viral. My buddy Sean was the guy that filmed that. If you've never seen the video, it's amazing. Hellraiser Revelations did, in fact, reveal some shit. It revealed that it was an epic fail. I don't say fuck this movie a lot, but fuck this movie. Fuck this movie and then don't call it the next day. I'll be back next week with Hellraiser Judgment, which has got to be better than this. At least I know what's last and how good it is. Until then, be good, everyone.
So true.
To be fair,
such a dog shit film.
The person they got for Pinhead in the next one that he'll cover was very good. I liked him in it. He was
much, much better. I don't know if I'd say very good.
I mean,
much better.
You got Doug Bradley who started the whole thing, right? Created the character, the voice movements, all of it. The guy in the next one coming up is the closest they could have gotten, I think, both in looks.
Yeah, he definitely is doing a Doug Bradley impersonation,
which was smart. Yeah, that's why
smarter
I say
than what that other guy tried to do.
You know,
welcome to hell.
In a way, he
like the high voice and shit.
He did kind of make it his own, and Pinhead's voice in the book, that's actually kind of what it would be. So, I understand what he was trying to do, and I can appreciate the actor or director putting a little effort into it, but it just didn't. No, it's not good that way. I think a lot of people too misrepresent the idea of the Cenobites and the fact that they show up to hurt people. That's not what they're there for. They're not just torturers. They are, but there's more to it than that, and that's never explored. Except in the next one.
All right. Speaking of the next one, Reverend Scott. All the money that we make on our monthly Patreon goes back into keeping the show on the air, paying the bills that we got to pay to be independent broadcasters, because ain't nobody paying them for us. Well, actually, I guess you guys are paying them for us.
Yep.
What? Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. With Reverend Scott.
All right, I got to watch and see what this motherfucker does.
Hey there, Bill and Dr. Professor Bricklemeyer.
Hey.
This is Reverend Scott.
I only know him as like a goofy comedian type of guy.
Comedian might be a stretch, but let's move on anyway, because this week I have a 1969 flick to talk about for a change, one that you've never covered on the show. But of course, before I talk about that, I need to see how you did last week on the movies you did cover on the show.
The 2012 flick, Would You Rather?
And here we are again with another movie that I've seen before. Where does this fit in with all the other 2010 flicks?
It's not like the elaborate puzzles that you get in Saw and like Or like the elaborate kill scenes you get from something like Hostel.
Yeah.
It's
and these people chose to take part in the whole thing, not knowing what it was, of course, but still, they chose to be in it.
Not their best decision, I'll say that.
the torture porn kind of cycle that was started with films like Saw and Hostel. This is on that tail end of it.
Calling this torture porn might be a stretch, but I'll say this much. At least this movie tried to set clear rules.
It's very simple, the game. We're going to play the game of Would You Rather. You'll be given 2 options. You'll have 15 seconds to choose which the options you want to go with, and we go until we have a winner.
And they were smart enough to hire Sasha Grey, too.
He wasn't even done explaining it. She immediately shocked the old lady in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Poor Linda's in the wheelchair. She doesn't even know. She's like barely there as it is. Doesn't know what's going on. Yeah. Sasha Grey immediately just torches her up. And everybody is like, whoa, man, she wasn't ready. What are you doing? She's like, I don't fucking care, man.
Right.
My favorite part of the review is when you tried out some of the tortures on yourself. Even Chris seemed impressed when you used that taser on yourself, Bill.
Holy shit, did it look like it hurt.
Yeah.
But you just have to do anything these people say or you won't survive till the next challenge anyway.
These people are in charge. They have been doing this. They know what they're doing, and you can't stop them, regardless of your intention.
Right.
But even though they follow the rules, they do tend to bend them quite heavily, such as the definition of things that they want you to hold in your hand.
So it's not a firecracker, it's a quarter stick of dynamite. And the guy's like, oh, so it is.
At least they have a sense of humor about it all. And speaking of sense of humor, Bill must think Chris's devotion to this film is a joke or something.
I've watched this about 6 or 7 times since it came out.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about it that I just...
You've watched this 6 or 7 times?
Yeah. That means I've watched it like once every 2 years or something. So when you say it like that, it's not as much.
Sure it is.
It sure is. Overall, how would you describe this movie, guys?
Sort of lighthearted for a torture movie.
Aw, that's cute. So I give Would You Rather, a.k.a.
When someone dies, I don't care.
a straight B. Or at least that's what the AI told me I should give it.
Yeah.
The review gets a B+. Moving on.
Flick from 1966 called Star Pilot.
I could tell from the moment you started reviewing this, you were in love.
Oh, it has star in the title? All right.
Fucking awesome. Let's go.
It's just too bad all the misogyny in this movie rubbed off on you.
Women can't do a fucking thing right.
I mean, you were somewhat self-aware, though.
The most racist, misogynistic movie I have ever seen.
You even admitted you couldn't even follow this movie.
I missed some stuff, and I know I did.
Well, what were the aliens in this movie all about then?
I know we come from a much advanced race, but we need you people that don't know anything about our spaceship or our science or our technology to fix our spaceship for us.
Yeah.
And then we're going to take you with us back to Hydra. And then that's kind of what the movie is. But then they leave, and then there's this weird time travel element that becomes brought into it. Whereas they're going back to Hydra, but Hydra's not there anymore. But then Earth has now also been laid to waste by a nuclear war.
Yeah.
A nuclear war that was presented by flooding, apparently, because they then cut in this footage of a model of Rome being flooded.
Yeah.
So basically, like real history. I dig it.
Spezia. It means space. Like Polizia, Spezia.
Just too bad Chris gave up completely on understanding anything in this.
I don't even know what's going on anymore. I'm just going to watch.
At least he didn't give up on the misogyny.
And it's like, holy shit, women can't drive, women can't cook, women be shopping. Like, what the fuck?
I give Star Pilot a C, and the review gets a B+. Okay, on to what I've been watching, because obviously that's all that's really important. And I saw something that just oozed the year 1969. Nice. From the clothes, the hair, and the cars, to the film grain, the lighting, the colors, even down to those crazy credits during the beginning title. Starring Paul Giamatti, I watched The Holdovers. Paul plays an old man named Paul with a lazy eye. Everyone calls him Walleye. That's not very nice. Anyway, he's not very nice either. He's a longtime teacher at a private all-boys high school. He's the sarcastic history teacher everyone hates, including the rest of the staff, as much as he wants to live in denial about it.
I'm not being an asshole, I'm repeating assholes.
And since all these kids live on campus, during Christmas break and through New Year's, there's sometimes kids that have nowhere to go. So there needs to be a teacher to chaperone for those 2 or 3 weeks. And the ones left alone on campus call themselves the holdovers. Several kids stay behind, at least at first, but one is there throughout the entire film. Dominic Sisa plays Angus. He's a rebellious high school student who's bounced from school to school causing trouble. He's really smart, but that usually just gets him in trouble more. And if he gets kicked out of this school too, his unattentive mom and stupid stepdad are gonna send him to military school. Ooh, that's shitty. So he's in Paul's class already, and he isn't really giving that class his all.
I tried. I'm going to be honest. I didn't try very hard. But yeah, it just didn't go anywhere quick enough for me.
Now he's stuck all Christmas break with his least favorite teacher, and they're having a very hard time communicating with each other.
I don't know what language you're speaking.
Neither do I.
Not to mention, Paul is a stickler for the rules.
These are the rules that we set. Yeah. These are the rules we're playing by. We're not going to change those rules at any point.
To say they argue and fight would be an understatement.
Hey, you're a fucking nut.
Yeah.
F you. Like if we were at any other place, I would beat you to death.
Yeah.
Like,
there's also the manager of the kitchen staff still there, Mary Lamb. Her son just graduated from this high school and was going to college. I think maybe he graduated college or he was just about to go. Either way, he went off to war and he died at war. So obviously she's absolutely destroyed by this. He would have been the first one in their family to graduate college. So obviously she's been through a lot. In fact, Paul, Mary, and Angus all have. And the longer they spend time together, the more they realize just how similar they actually are. I really enjoyed the sarcastic and dark humor in this, and there's a lot. There's some genuinely laugh-out-loud moments, and some truly touching and, well, soul-crushing moments too.
They make you cry. You're making me cry. Forget about it.
This is a breakout performance for Giamatti. This must have been something that really propelled his career in the 70s. Also, Dominic Sessa is a pretty amazing actor for his age. He looks like he was born in 2002. Wait a minute, what the fuck? This was a 2023 film? Oh my God, was I?
How do I want to word this?
I don't know.
Was I wrong? I thought it was just old age makeup on Paul Giamatti, but maybe he's just plain old. Or maybe I knew this was a new movie with the director trying to make it look as much like a 1969 film as he possibly could. And I think he succeeded. I think this has a better job of doing that even than, something like House of the Devil. Everyone is wonderful in this movie, even down to the side characters and stuff. And for how many depressing things are discussed, it still leaves you kind of feeling good at the end. Every character learns and grows and figures out how they can get along with each other despite all their differences and kind of focus more on the things that make them alike. And you feel like they just really made it somewhere by the end.
Is it any good, though?
That depends who you ask.
Yeah, well, I'm asking you.
Me? I say yes. Very good. I highly recommend it, and I give this an A. I may have to revisit this next Christmas and, every Christmas after that. And much like that Amazon box full of socks that you got under the Christmas tree, I need to wrap this up. So until next movie starring Paul Giamatti's Lazy Eye, peace and love, guys. Holy shit with Reverend Scott.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I just don't think its execution is really that great. A little bit of trivia for the holdovers. The bowling alley scene was filmed at the bowling alley that is like 500 feet from my house.
Oh, really?
Yep. I didn't go when they filmed it. Didn't go near it, but It caused traffic that day.
Well, I can imagine.
Yeah. Speaking of traffic. Well, all right, guys. Thank you very much for hanging with Christopher and I to talk about cult films. Very big thanks to Scott. Very big thanks to Joe. Thanks to the AI that created our show notes for last week, which I didn't bother to read through after posting them. Apparently, they were quite confusing. Guess what?
It didn't seem that
It's
bad.
going to be like that moving forward.
I think everybody just noticed. That's all.
One of the things with the show, in the 16 years we've done the show, I've always hated doing show notes.
Yeah.
So the fact that the AI will create one that's close enough for me, all right. I'll go with it. Next week we'll be back with 2 more reviews. If you would join our if you're not a member of Patreon, please consider joining at patreon.com/outside the cinema. It is basically there to help keep the show going. All the money that we generate there goes back into keeping the show on the air, and we appreciate all of you that take part in it. That's all we got. Talk to you next week. Say goodbye,
Bye.
Chris.
Goodbye.